Why hello there, welcome back to the channel, David here, and today I'm going to show you an amazing Stream Musketeer deck for a Grand Challenge. Now a little disclaimer, I did not win this Grand Challenge, I got 11 wins, 3 losses before completing it, but this deck does a pretty good job. You can use whatever spell you want. This time I use Log since Mighty Miner is pretty popular, which does bring a lot of log bait into the Grand Challenges, so make sure to be prepared for that. I also would recommend Zap or Barbarian Barrel if you guys are more of a fan of those cards instead, but let's start with this battle against Shelby. This guy has a creator code, so I thought this was a pretty notable battle. As you can see there, Shelby has a creator code, so that was pretty cool. This guy has like 100,000 subscribers, so that was pretty insane. I did win this battle, but let's watch this battle and see how it played out. This this deck I believe is pretty good. If you guys are still new with Stream Musketeers, I will be trying to make a new how to play Stream Musketeer deck in the near future. But until then, let's just watch this match. What I try to do is, first thing, as I always do, is try to cycle the pump. I really like cycling the pump, seeing what cards my opponent has while I'm doing it, and also just like learning what spells they have to counter my pump. So what we do, there we go, we get our first pump. I suspect he has graveyard, so I put it hugging my King Tower in case he does have graveyard, so I could potentially get a King Tower activation. However, in this case, he is running Royal Giant, so that doesn't really matter. Okay, so what I do is I decide to defend this, and I do try to use cheap cards so I can hopefully get to my next pump and hopefully try to outcycle his spell. Sadly, Royal Giant does have a pretty good cycle as well as Stream Musketeer, so for the most part, I won't be able to get a new pump unless he lets me get one. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just trying to get a new pump. I would recommend trying to get pumps as fast as possible, but also have a decent amount of elixir while you're doing so. Because if you're not careful, your opponent can punish you if you're low in elixir while you place your new pump. I was kind of nervous here since he was kind of potentially setting up for a push, but luckily what he did do is he did fireball my pump, which does put us back even. Does he? No. Okay, I'm sorry, I misremembering, my bad. But since I do have a pump up, that does give me a lot of elixir, so I am in quite the lead. I do have to be careful of any potential pushes he has, so I need to defend properly, but my pump is helping me regain that lost elixir. And since I know he has fireball, I do want to try to bait out a fireball before I use my Stream Musketeers, because otherwise he's just going to rocket them, or he's just going to fireball them, and that's going to be a waste of elixir. So there we go, we've successfully baited his fireball, and now I use Stream Musketeers in the very back so I can build the biggest push as I can and hopefully overwhelm him, which we do in later. So what I have to do is I have to try to support my Musketeers. I try to support the right side, or the single Musketeer, more than the double Musketeers, because the double Musketeers are more susceptible to a splash. So by supporting the single Musketeer more, that does allow me to prevent him from just fireballing my entire push. We did have pretty good luck here. This guy does get salty. He does use the Prince Leon emote. I really hate this emote. But since I did play correctly, I was able to ensure he didn't fireball both of my Musketeers. We were able to win the game. So that's one match right there. I was like in the middle of this Grand Challenge. I found it interesting since he had a creator code. This guy is a pretty good player. He's already in the Ultimate Champion. Halfway through the season. Okay, let's do another match. Hey, let me show you what I'm talking about when I'm saying there are a bunch of Mighty Miner decks in with Goblin Barrel. So right now I would, even though Zap is my favorite, I would kind of recommend using the Log or even Barbarian Barrel, since they will be able to one-shot Goblins, which will save your tower a lot of damage from that Goblin Barrel. Alright, so what I try to do is, obviously, what I like to do is cycle pump. Some people, if you're not sure how to place pump, play it safe. Don't place pump them to you, like, know what cards they have. At this point, I kind of suspect I know his deck, since it's pretty popular right now. I try to protect my pump. Always protect your pump, because sales are expensive, and they can be countered very easily if your opponent has the proper cards. So if you can protect him, by all means do so. I do support my bandit, because I did suspect he would do a sort of a defense on it, which the heal spirit plus bandit allows my bandit to one-shot those goblins instead of just getting destroyed. I do put down another pump. I should have put it on the other side of the arena, since he does have a rocket, which gives him a lot of damage. But I didn't see that princess coming. But I do know his deck now, so what I try to do is defend and also cycle to pumps as I can. I try to save Stray Musketeers until double elixir, since you can build a lot bigger pushes with double elixir. It is just so much easier since you're getting twice as much elixir, and Stray Musketeers is so expensive. They are hard to support, especially since all their cards are pretty expensive in this deck, like Elite Barbarians and stuff like that. Our push didn't go too well there, but the main purpose of that push was to kind of cycle pump and get some chip if we could, try to punish him in single elixir if that was possible. But it didn't work quite well. What I have to do is I do have to defend this. He does have to use his Mighty Miner ability. I don't want that Mighty Miner to ramp on my tower, so I'm going to have to use the log on that, which does leave me open to the Goblin Barrel, but I should be safe if I play everything correctly. So, double elixir is here. I do have a pump up. This is looking good. My pump is... Does he rocket it? I don't remember. He does not rocket my pump. Since my pump already gave him elixir, that would be... Or gave me elixir, that would be an elixir disadvantage for him. I put 3 Musketeers in the middle. This happens to hard counter his goblins. I put it in the middle this time because I don't want to get any tower chip damage, since rocket cycle is very deadly and I cannot compete with it. This guy starts falling apart pretty fast, though, since he did not properly dispose of my Golden Knight's ability, and I do get a lot of chip damage. This is amazing. I'm going to do the same thing. Of course, I'm going to defend since he does have an opening. That was a poor placement on his part. He should have surrounded my tower since I did not have the log. And we're going to do 3 Musketeers again. I put them at the bridge this time since I already have the bridge spam I want. I'm just going to try to support them as much as I can and put a lot of pressure so he can't just rocket my entire pushes. It doesn't work too well, but that Musketeer on the left is looking promising. So I try to support it as much as possible. Give it a bandit, give it a log, try to protect it, and hopefully we can get something to connect to that tower and finish off the game, which is what the Ghost does. There we go. Amazing game. And I'm going to show you guys one more game before I call it a video. But this deck is pretty good. As I said, log bait is very popular in these challenges, and in fact it's popular in general sense of the Mighty Miner. So I know I love Zap, but I would recommend Barbarian Barrel or even the log until maybe like the meta kind of cools down. Here's the last battle. It's against a lumberloon. For lumberloon, since 3 Musketeers is so expensive and it is your only air counter, do expect to lose a tower. You're not going to you're not always going to have all 3 towers against lumberloon, since just balloon costs 5 elixirs, Musketeers cost 9. You're not going to be able to afford Musketeers when you want to. But let's just get started in the match. The good thing about Lumberloon is they don't have a pump counter. So what we can do, we can try to stack pumps and make our pushes even bigger. This guy does miss his tornado. My bandit almost connects to his king tower. And I was going to plan on playing 3 Musketeers down early, but I did want to kind of see his deck before I started putting my trump card in. There we go. I think I put down pump, yes, in the middle. I will pay for the pump a little bit, but I won't lose a tower. I am able to defend it properly. Let's see it. 3 Musketeers is expensive. I'm going to take some damage from this balloon he puts down. I will not be happy when this happens, but sometimes, like most of the times, I would say put 3 Musketeers down in double elixirs. Some exceptions are when you're defending against a heavy air push, such as Lava Loon, Minion Horde, Balloon, Lumberloon in general. So for that, that's when I would recommend putting Musketeers in single. If you do put the Musketeers in single, I would recommend also supporting only the single side, since you can't support them both. And plus, there's the side with 2 Musketeers. They do a pretty good job at defending themselves. They're not the best, but they're better than 1 Musketeer. And it kind of forces your opponent to put equal pressure on both sides instead of just using a bunch of splash on one side. I do know he does not have a spell counter or a pump counter, so what I do is I start to abuse my pumps, try to get as much as possible. I do feel like he's going to use a balloon, but I'm not quite sure yet. I'll try to save my Musketeers for his balloons and potentially any pushes I want to do. Double elixir is creeping up on me, so I do rush his tower. Since he did put down his bowler would hard counter my push normally, but I decide to rush his tower since I feel like he does not have the resources to defend it anymore after his bowler is gone. And plus, a defensive freeze is always a bad sign if your opponent's using it. If you freeze or just rush him, since it's expensive and it does not give much value. At this point, I have 2 Musketeers. I'm going to try to protect him as much as I can. And I'm also going to just rush this guy as much as possible so he cannot get another Lumberloon attack in, because I do not want him to bring this into overtime. So I'm going to try to finish him off before overtime hits. I mean, we could also play defense, so which is what I'm doing here, but I do notice, like, his tower's at 8 health, so, like, honestly, there's no point in defending. What I can do is just slowly chip away with logs. He might take my tower, he might not. Who knows? He does take my tower, and it's not the end of the world. His king tower is at 22 health. We just need a log, and that's the game. So there we go. This is an amazing deck for you guys. If you guys are interested in Musketeer, let me know. Leave a like on this video, and I will make a new how to use Musketeer video, like update version, since it has changed a bit. And I would recommend Golden Knight this time around instead of Mighty Miner. Of course, Mighty Miner is pretty nice, but the Golden Knight is probably the best champion for Three Musketeers. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and if you haven't already, leave the video a like, and I will see you guys all in the next video of Clash Royale. Bye bye.